Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Rona Dayz, episode 34 of the show that will not quit, can't stop, won't stop, like a virus in your system that just will not go away. The second wave, the third wave, the 34th wave of this show. Of course, as we all know, the election happened last week. Took a few days for the results to come in. Election day, I decided to, I kind of took the whole week off. Election day specifically, I planned on drinking because whether the results went in either direction, intoxication is something that I planned on being for that day. Last election, I remember I was in Denver, and I remember there's this hot dog place that I loved going to on Colfax. Would walk there at least every week. The guy that owned it would hook me up with free beer now and then. They had a menu of like 30 different hot dogs that you can get. The burgers were good too. But I remember going there on election day last time, 4 years ago, and just kind of drinking my sorrows away as I saw worthless human get the job as president. So thankfully, this time around, despite what all the magatards are saying and crying about, saying that it was rigged or whatever, the mail-in ballots really changed things around, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are now the elected president and vice president of the United States. We still have to get through 70-something days. Well, now a little bit less by the time this podcast comes out, but still a lot can happen. Trump has been able to wreak havoc on the country for 4 years, so hopefully we survive the next few months while he's still in office. But yeah, it's good. It was cool to see. Because of the pandemic, obviously, not only did the pandemic cause a lot of mail-in ballots, but also the fact that Trump supporters were intimidating people at the voting places, at the polling stations. They even tried running the Biden-Harris tour bus off the road. Just a lot of dirty shit, which Trump himself encouraged and asked them to do to keep people from voting. So a lot of people decided to vote from the mail. I did myself, of course, on Instagram and other social media, constantly being bombarded with reminders to register to vote, to register to get your ballot in the mail, which that's how I registered and signed up, and all of that stuff was actually through Instagram. Ballot came in, voted, took it to a drop-off place early. I didn't have to deal with any lines, unlike a lot of the states where I think it's majority of the swing states, or just states where a lot of Republicans tend to win. There was a lot of voter suppression, just people waiting in lines, a lot of ballots supposedly not counted for small inconsistencies. But everybody was diligent and made sure they got stuff done. And eventually a lot of the swing states flipped to blue, which was great. But on election day, it looked as if everything was going in the right direction, despite a lot of the ballots not being counted. But I think Biden was ahead the entire time. But as far as coverage, everybody seemed to have election day coverage going on. I was not going to be, at no point in my life would I ever spend the day watching a news program cover an election. So I decided to go to the next best thing while drinking margaritas. I don't know if I mentioned that. I bought the pre-mixed margaritas. I every once in a while I'll get that and pour it over ice or whatever, and it's just makes for a good day. And it had been a while since I've had a margarita day, so that's what I decided to do. And I flipped on the Dollop with hosts Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds. It's amazing American history podcast that they decided to do a live election coverage, and it was good. It was good because very educated. Dave Anthony, as far as not only the history but also politics. It's like I don't listen to the news because all they care about is selling advertising. They try to be sensationalized and stuff like that. I like to listen to smart people. So when it comes to the pandemic, I listen to a lot of scientists. When it comes to politics and things like that, I listen to people that study the stuff. And listening to the Dollop, is a great podcast. But watching their election coverage was great. I've also had the opportunity to hang out with Gareth Reynolds a bunch of times, and he's been on old podcasts of mine a bunch of times. Great dude. Dave Anthony as well, great dude. That felt good watching that. I also watched some of Dave Chin's live election coverage. Wasn't quite as thorough of election coverage as the Dollops was. But I'm a fan of David Chen, of course, the host of Culturally Relevant and the Filmcast. He lives up in Washington area, Seattle, Washington area, and I enjoy. He does a lot of the recaps and kind of things of how him and his wife are dealing with the pandemic. Just somebody that I enjoy listening to. Another very educated person. So I stopped in to watch his live feed for a little bit, mostly watching him stress out. So I didn't watch that much of it. But after the election coverage, when it was clear that there was going to be nobody was going to officially win the election because of all of the mail-in ballots that still needed to be counted, I decided to watch Free Solo because it is an amazing documentary about a guy who decides to climb, is it El Capitan? Without any ropes, and Honnold. And he is a guy that's not Honnold. I forget his name offhand right now. But it's a great documentary. I think it's on Hulu right now. It's a documentary that I watched in IMAX while on an edible, which is probably the most ideal way to watch that documentary because it is so beautiful, but also the shots of being up so high in IMAX on an edible really kind of put you there. But it's also a documentary I love because it's about a guy who's focused and devoted his entire life to be amazing at something, and he is amazing at something, and the documentary is about him trying to do something that could instantly end his life, but also something that nobody's ever accomplished. And the documentary is stressful because he gets a new girlfriend, and he's never had any injuries up until this girlfriend, and all of a sudden he's fallen twice as they've climbed together. So it made it even more stressful. But it is a great documentary that I highly recommend checking out. Free Solo. And if you are the type of person to enjoy edible marijuana, I would highly recommend eating some maybe a half hour before you start. And then by the time it kicks in, or even eat it when you start the movie. So by the time it kicks in, it'll be really get you going. Of course, I've been having my dreams, only sleeping in 2-hour chunks, some crazy dreams. I'm trying to write them down, just because they are so crazy. It's crazy because I am only sleeping like 2 hours. Like I'll wake up at like 4 a.m. And then drink some water or whatever because it's just been like I just like been so just drying everything just dry. And then I'll wake up and then for some reason I'll sleep 2 hours and then I'll just wake up completely congested. So constantly just waking up congested, but also just sleeping 2-hour chunks. And it's crazy. It's crazy just diving into deep sleep and getting a dream off in just 2 hours. But there was one I had where it was like I was at kind of living in a place similar to this one, and some people came over that I was supposed to meet up with to do some kind of audition thing. It was a older dude and a younger woman, maybe in her 20s, and the older dude maybe in his late 40s. Both black, by the way. Not that that has any bearing on the story necessarily. Two people that I don't know. There's not people that are from my life. There's a lot of people in my dreams recently that are just fictional people. But they showed up at my place, and I was supposed to meet up with them, and it was supposed to be for like it ended up being, it was supposed to be for Zuffa, the company that owns or that owned the UFC before they got bought out. It was supposed to be for we're supposed to go on a boat to an island to audition for something to commentate for Zuffa boxing, which is crazy. I'm not a big boxing fan. So it's like they came over to tell me that I missed it and what the job was. And then like this old buddy of mine, this old Japanese dude that I used to fish with, he's not old. I think he's actually younger than me. Yuji, but he's an old friend of mine who I used to go fishing with a lot of the time. He like showed up. He was at a different place and like was walking by my house and like saw me, and he was like, he was with some friends, and they just kind of came in, and he called people, or people called people, and then all of a sudden there's a party going on at my place, which was kind of crazy. So, and there's like all these women that were like kind of like flirting with me all at once, which was kind of crazy as well. Just like it almost felt it was weird. So I went from that party. Then the girl that came, the woman that I was supposed to do that audition with, I decided to ask her out and to go to another party. And then the second party, Brad Williams and Adam Ray were there, which are two stand-up comedians, and both had a podcast together called About Last Night, which I've never listened to, but I'm a fan of both of them on podcasts, and their comedy is funny as well. And they were there, and I was like talking to them about podcasting. It was really weird. Like I've been doing a lot of socializing in my dreams, and that was just kind of, and that was just in 1 2-hour chunk. I went to 2 different parties in my head, and I don't know, but yeah, that's been my life this week. Make sure you support our sponsor, Amazon Prime. Get yourself 30 days free of Amazon Prime. It's the service that keeps on giving, whether you want to stream movies, TV shows with Amazon Prime, all the movies and TV shows that are available there, or you want to borrow Kindle books. Maybe you're into reading. Borrow some Kindle books. Get your read on. Or let's say you like music. You can listen to unlimited music with Amazon Music, all through the Prime service. Get your 30 days free of Amazon Prime, signing up now through my link, inspireddisorder.com/prime. And of course, you get your free 2-day shipping, along with all of the other benefits. inspireddisorder.com/prime. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!